November 13th, 1944, 4:30 in the afternoon, Achain, France. Staff Sergeant Junior J. Spurrier is out of ammunition. Four German soldiers are firing from a second-story window 15 yards away, and lying at his feet in the muddy street is an enemy percussion grenade, origin unknown, condition uncertain. He picks it up, pulls the cord, throws it through the window where the Germans are shooting. Silence. This shouldn't have worked. The grenade could have been a dud, it could have been damaged, it could have detonated in his hand. But it didn't. Four Germans stopped firing permanently. By the time the sun set that day, the official after-action report would document something the field manual said was tactically impossible. 1 man, 25 enemy killed, 4 captured, 1 fortified village secured. Credit assigned to Staff Sergeant Spurrier, Company G, 134th Infantry Regiment, 35th Infantry Division. The Army taught combined arms doctrine, fire and maneuver, coordinated assault by sections. Spurrier used something else, something the manuals never mentioned, a hybrid weapons system he built in real time from American and captured German ordnance, cycling between Browning automatic rifle, M1 Garand American bazooka, captured German Panzerschreck, captured automatic pistol, and enemy stick grenades. Every weapon served a specific tactical function. He switched between them as the situation demanded, and when one ran dry, he picked up the next. We're going to show you exactly how this system worked, the physics of shaped charges that let bazooka warheads punch through 90 millimeters of armor, the mechanical advantage of alternating weapons to eliminate reload dead time, the cold mathematics of turning the battlefield itself into your ammunition depot. But first, we need to understand who this man was, because the weapon system only worked because of the operator. December 14th, 1922, Castlewood, Russell County, Virginia. James Ira Spurrier Jr. is born into a family that will never escape poverty. His father works as a locomotive fireman and engineer for Norfolk and Western Railway, hard manual labor, inconsistent pay. His mother comes from a farming family that lost everything when agriculture collapsed in the Depression. 6 children, constant transfers chasing work, eventually settling in Bluefield, West Virginia. Young Spurrier finds employment with the Civilian Conservation Corps, a New Deal program that puts unemployed young men to work on conservation projects. The CCC trains him in basic military discipline, field operations, equipment maintenance. It's not formal combat training, but it establishes the foundation, teaches him that machines have specifications, that procedures exist for reasons, that competence is survival. Then comes summer 1940. His mother dies. The anchor that held the family together is gone. On September 25th, 1940, Spurrier walks into a recruitment office in Richmond, Virginia, and enlists voluntarily in the United States Army. He's 17 years old. He fills out the paperwork incorrectly, writes his name in the wrong fields. Legal name: James Ira Spurrier Jr. Military name forever: Junior J. Spurrier. The bureaucracy locks it in. The error becomes permanent. April 20th, 1942, Spurrier ships overseas to the Pacific Theater. He's assigned to infantry, deployed against Japanese forces. For 22 to 31 months, records conflict on the exact duration. He fights in jungle warfare, learns that doctrine is theory and survival is adaptation. Late 1943, New Guinea, he's wounded in action. The wound is serious enough to qualify him for medical repatriation to the United States. First to Camp Carson, Colorado, then San Francisco for recovery. Here's where it gets strange. After medical evaluation declares him fit for duty, Spurrier makes a request that defies standard soldier psychology. Send me back overseas. Most men wounded in combat accept the opportunity to stay stateside, finish out their service in relative safety. Spurrier asks to return to combat. The request is approved. June 1944, European Theater of Operations. July 19, 1944, Spurrier joins Company G, 134th Infantry Regiment, 35th Infantry Division, as a replacement private. 7 days later, July 26th, he's promoted to Staff Sergeant and designated as squad leader, also serving as messenger and scout. His superiors see something immediately, the kind of tactical competence that can't be taught in training, only forged in combat. Official documents describe him as extraordinarily brave and an independent prankster who frequently came into conflict with his commanders. Translation: he solved problems his own way, didn't wait for permission, didn't follow doctrine when doctrine was wrong. September 16, 1944, near Les Saint-Christophe, France. Company G is tasked with assaulting a heavily defended German position south of the village. The Germans have prepared entrenchments, bunkers, automatic weapons, coordinated artillery support. Standard infantry assault doctrine calls for advancing by sections, suppressive fire, covered movement. Spurrier identifies an Allied tank destroyer nearby, mounts it without waiting for orders, operates the 50 caliber machine gun against enemy positions. He kills and wounds multiple Germans, forces the defenders to retreat into bunkers. Then he dismounts, advances alone under direct fire, destroys 2 bunkers with hand grenades, captures 22 German soldiers who surrender when they realize they're facing someone who won't stop. The Army awards him the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism, notable gallantry, supreme devotion to duty. Less than 2 months later, Company G receives new orders. November 13, 1944, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Achain, France. The village is a key German defensive position. The 35th Infantry Division needs to capture it to continue the advance east. Company G launches the assault, faces the tactical nightmare that every infantryman fears: 1,500 yards of completely open field, 700 yards under direct small arms fire, continuous artillery and mortar concentrations falling across the entire approach. No natural cover, no concealment, no way to advance without crossing a kill zone. The trilemma is simple. Option 1, retreat, which means disciplinary action for abandoning the mission, possible execution for desertion in combat, failure of the divisional operation. Option 2, frontal assault through the kill zone, which means near certain casualties approaching 100%. The Germans have prepared positions, interlocking fields of fire, terrain advantage. Option 3, one man flanks around the village through the German rear with captured ordnance. No communication, no reinforcement, death probability approaching certainty, but if successful, village captured. Spurrier chooses option 3. If he fails, the cascade of consequences extends beyond his individual death. Level 1. Spurrier dies alone behind enemy lines. Level 2. Company G continues the frontal assault, suffers catastrophic casualties. The village remains German. Level 3. With Achain holding as a German strongpoint, the 35th Division cannot consolidate its advance. German lines remain intact. American exploitation of the breakthrough fails. One man's life equals hundreds of Allied lives in the mathematics of tactical failure. Standard infantry doctrine for assaulting a fortified position requires fire superiority, covered approaches, coordinated movement by squads providing mutual support. The field manual is explicit. Never advance across open ground under observed fire. Never assault without suppressive fire. Never attack alone. These aren't suggestions. They're survival mathematics proven across 2 world wars. But doctrine assumes certain conditions. It assumes natural cover exists for concealment during approach. It assumes artillery support is available for suppression. It assumes numerical superiority at the point of contact. At Achain, none of these conditions exist. The open field provides no cover. German artillery has already zeroed the coordinates. Any massed movement will be detected and destroyed. The defenders are entrenched in multiple layers throughout the village. The doctrinal solution would be air bombardment or heavy artillery to destroy the German positions before infantry advance. But this option fails on three counts. First, it would destroy the village, which contradicts the operational objective of capturing it intact. Second, it would require hours or days to coordinate with higher command and available fire support assets. Third, it would alert the Germans to reinforce the position before the assault. By standard doctrine, the mission is impossible on this day in this place with these resources. Spurrier enters the village from the west, kills 3 German soldiers immediately. The village is still full of defenders, every building potentially occupied, every window a firing position, every doorway a fatal funnel. First 2 hours, systematic clearing operations. He uses the Browning automatic rifle for suppressive fire in open spaces, the M1 Garand for precision shots against shooters in windows and rooftops, American and captured German bazookas for destroying fortified structures. Each building cleared increases the risk of encountering concentrated resistance. Each engagement burns through ammunition that cannot be resupplied. Mid-afternoon, Spurrier reduces a German strongpoint, kills 3 defenders with sustained BR fire, sets the building ablaze using both American and captured German bazookas. Emerging from the burning structure, he captures 1 captain, the garrison commander, 1 lieutenant, 14 enlisted soldiers. The command structure is decapitated, but resistance continues in other sectors. Late afternoon, attacks second strongpoint, kills 2 occupants. The village is still not secured. Here's where the arsenal system reveals its full mechanism. Spurrier isn't carrying all these weapons simultaneously. That would be physically impossible. The weight alone exceeds 100 pounds. Instead, he's cycling through weapons as he encounters them on the battlefield, picking up American equipment from dead or wounded soldiers, capturing German ordnance from defeated positions, using each weapon for its specific tactical advantage, then discarding it when ammunition runs out or a better option appears. The Browning automatic rifle M1918A1 gas-operated 30-06 Springfield selective semi or full automatic fire at 450 to 650 rounds per minute, 20-round magazine. Function: volume of fire, suppression, clearing buildings where multiple targets might be present. The M1 Garand, semi-automatic only, 8-round clips, 30-06, effective range to 500 yards. Function: precision engagement, shooters at distance, targets requiring accurate fire. American bazooka M9A1, 90mm high-explosive anti-tank warhead, effective range 120 to 300 yards against stationary targets. Function: destruction of fortified structures, bunkers, any hard target requiring penetration. German Panzerschreck, equivalent system, similar shaped charge warhead. Function: identical to American bazooka, used when American ordnance is unavailable or expended. Captured German automatic pistol, likely Schmeisser MP3840 or P38, 9mm. Function: close combat, final option when primary weapons are unavailable. Hand grenades, both American time delay and German percussion detonated. Function: bunker clearing, building assault, any situation requiring explosive force in confined space. The physics of success depends on shaped charges. A bazooka warhead uses a conical copper liner. When the explosive detonates, the liner collapses inward and forms a superheated jet of metal traveling at hypersonic velocity. This jet concentrates the explosive force into a narrow cone that can penetrate 90 millimeters of hardened armor or completely destroy a concrete bunker at ranges under 300 yards. The mechanical advantage comes from weapon alternation. While reloading one weapon, Spurrier is firing another, eliminating the dead time that makes soldiers vulnerable during magazine changes. When ammunition for one system is exhausted, he switches to a different weapon class entirely. The battlefield itself becomes his ammunition depot. Enemy casualties become his resupply point. This is the Arsenal Ghost, a single operator who appears to enemy defenders as multiple combatants because the weapons keep changing, the tactical approach keeps adapting. There's no pattern to exploit, no rhythm to predict. Late afternoon, approaching dusk, Spurrier spots 4 German soldiers firing from a window in a building across the street. He's out of ammunition, all primary weapons expended or discarded. On the street lies a German stick grenade, Model 24, percussion detonated, origin unknown, condition uncertain. He picks it up, pulls the detonator cord, throws it through the window where the Germans are shooting. The fire stops immediately. This moment is insane by any rational analysis. The grenade could have been damaged. It could have failed to detonate. It could have exploded prematurely. But Spurrier's calculation is simple. Death is certain if the Germans keep shooting. Death is probable if the grenade fails. Death is possible if the grenade works. He chooses possible over certain. As darkness falls, Spurrier advances to the roof of a tall building, becomes an improvised sniper, fires on enemy personnel in the streets below, transforms the village from German territory into contested ground. 1630 hours. Company G has captured approximately 2/3 of the village. Spurrier is assigned command of pickets in occupied positions. The consolidation phase begins. Twilight. While inspecting picket positions, Spurrier hears 4 German soldiers talking in a nearby barn containing hay and oil. He approaches silently, sets fire to the hay and oil, drives the 4 Germans out where they surrender without resistance. Well after dark. Advancing along the lines, Spurrier sees a figure crawling toward a sentry picket, challenges with no response, fires, kills what proves to be another German soldier attempting infiltration. November 14th morning, the remainder of Company G advances against the final third of the village, still held by German defenders. Spurrier mounts a motorcycle, rides down the street firing his M1 rifle at fleeing Germans. The last organized resistance collapses. Final count, official after-action report. 25 Germans killed, 1 officer plus 24 enlisted, 4 prisoners captured, 2 officers plus 2 enlisted. Village of Achain secured, credit for capture attributed to 1 man, Junior J. Spurrier. Tactical legacy. By killing the garrison commander, Spurrier decapitated the German command structure. Without clear leadership, the remaining defenders lost coordination. Some surrendered, some fled. Organized resistance became impossible. Strategic legacy. By capturing 2/3 of the village before nightfall on November 13th, Spurrier enabled Company G to consolidate a defensible position. This prevented a coordinated German counterattack during darkness when American forces would have been vulnerable. The success bought time for the rest of the 35th Division to advance and reinforce. Historical legacy. Spurrier's action became a case study in infantry tactics. The lesson absorbed by American forces was clear. A quality non-commissioned officer armed with technical knowledge and permission to improvise can change tactical outcomes. Initiative matters more than strict adherence to doctrine when conditions deviate from doctrinal assumptions. The Medal of Honor was awarded to Staff Sergeant Junior J. Spurrier on March 15, 1945, 4 months after the action at Achain. Presented by Lieutenant General William Hood Simpson, Commanding General of the 9th United States Army, on March 6, 1945. 4 months is a long delay for the nation's highest decoration for valor. Spurrier had received the Distinguished Service Cross for his action at Les Saint-Christophe in September with relative immediacy. Why the delay for Achain, an action clearly superior in magnitude? Spurrier came from Russell County, Virginia, a region of extreme rural Appalachian poverty. While there's no documented evidence of explicit discrimination, it's historically plausible that his social origin, a hillbilly without formal education, may have contributed to administrative delay in recommendation or approval of his decoration. The Army's bureaucracy moved faster for officers than enlisted men, faster for educated soldiers than rural poor. What's more shocking is what happened after his death on February 25, 1984. His original medals, including the Medal of Honor and Distinguished Service Cross, were lost for decades. Only in November 2011, nearly 30 years after his death, were the medals rediscovered in a safe belonging to the deceased father of Craig Corcoran, police chief of Granville, West Virginia. The medals were then presented to his two surviving sisters on December 2, 2011, 79 years after the original heroic action. Even his medals were forgotten. June 19, 1945. Spurrier is discharged from the Army. He should have had a life of recognition and respect. Instead, he developed severe alcohol problems, struggled with civilian readjustment, couldn't hold steady employment. He briefly attempted a career as a pitcher with the Galaxy Leafs of the Class D Blue Ridge League, but it didn't last. 1947, he re-enlisted in the Army. Promoted to technical sergeant, then demoted to private in 1950 due to disciplinary problems and alcohol abuse. 1951, during the Korean War, Spurrier deserted his post. Instead of court-martial, which would have resulted in prison, the Army gave him a dishonorable discharge. His commanding officers recognized his mental condition was impaired, decided to simply separate him from service. From 1951 to 1984, Spurrier's life became a series of legal troubles, multiple arrests in Virginia and Maryland, 3 prison sentences with final release in 1969. As he aged, Spurrier quit alcohol, started a radio and television repair business, eventually retired to a cabin in eastern Tennessee. He died February 25, 1984, age 61, after a long illness, buried at Mountain Home National Cemetery, Johnson City, Tennessee. One of only 2 soldiers to receive both the Medal of Honor and the Distinguished Service Cross, the nation's 2 highest decorations for valor, died in relative obscurity. A memorial wasn't dedicated until 2006 at the Mercer County War Museum. His medals weren't recovered until 2011. The symptoms we now recognize as post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, survivor's guilt weren't diagnosed in 1945. The Army knew Spurrier was damaged. They just didn't know why or how to fix it. So they discharged him, and he struggled alone. This story isn't about a perfect hero. It's about an ordinary man who, placed in extraordinary circumstances, found within himself the capacity to do what needed to be done regardless of personal cost. The cost was his mental health, his post-war stability, his life's trajectory. But the village was captured. Hundreds of Allied lives were saved. The 35th Division's advance continued. The Arsenal Ghost worked because the operator understood that weapons are tools with specific applications, that doctrine is guidance, not gospel, that survival sometimes requires violating every rule you've been taught. Spurrier didn't follow the manual at Achain because the manual would have killed him. He improvised, adapted, survived, and won. 79 years later, when his sisters finally received his medals, the youngest one held the Medal of Honor and said she never knew what her brother had done. She just knew he came home different. That's the truth of combat. The heroes who survive carry invisible wounds the medals can't heal, and sometimes the nation that honors them forgets they still need help long after the shooting stops. Staff Sergeant Jr. J. Spurrier, the Arsenal Ghost of Achain, died forgotten. His story survives because someone kept the records, someone found the medals, someone decided this needed to be remembered. 1 man, 1 day, 25 dead, 4 captured, 1 village taken. The mathematics of heroism and the algebra of cost.